Welcome back to the podcast Daily Life of a Song. This podcast has been hitting the key points in recording and editing a song. Today, I am pleased to welcome to the podcast special guest, Mr. Ross Stark. Mr. Stark is the manager of the Thomas Fine Arts Auditorium and instructor at William Carey University, as well as the owner of Stark Contracts Productions, which is an AVL integration and production specialty company. All right, I have a few questions.
All right.
So, what is your role and what do you focus more on when you work for events?
For live events, especially here at Carey, my role is more of a producer. And so I try to kind of fly above what's going on, kind of get more of the 30,000 foot view and try to keep an eye on the production as a whole, as opposed to trying to isolate individual things. And just try to especially look ahead at what problems may be coming up and try to address those before something happens. Sometimes that might be things like keeping an eye on things as simple as batteries in our wireless packs or wireless microphones, noticing what cues are coming up in the set, things of that nature, just anything that I can think of ahead of time to warn the rest of the crew about. And just kind of doing a constant assessment all the way from what we're doing there in the house, including trying to keep a check on the broadcast stuff, because we do, at our front of house booth, we do have like a multi-view setup so that we can, and when I'm talking about that, I mean that we have we can see what they're seeing in broadcast is what I'm saying there, and as well as showing audio levels. And then also myself and usually someone else on the team is monitoring on the back end or the receiving end of our live stream as well. So just trying to monitor all of those different things, and in a lot of ways trying to take that larger perspective off the shoulders of the team members, so that if they're running audio, they can just completely focus on audio. If they're running anything with video, they can just completely focus on video, and that way they're not having to worry about all the different positions.
All right. For the next question, how did you become interested in working in the tech world?
I think I've just always found some of the gear and things just kind of neat. I always thought that it was interesting to check out that stuff, but I started noticing that maybe I listened to things, especially so audio is the first step of the journey for me, and I think that I noticed that I started listening to things maybe in a different way. I remember one particular example at church. We had a special event that was it's actually in our gym as opposed to our sanctuary, and something was just off with the sound, and I just noticed that it was the sound was coming out of the monitors only, as opposed to the mains or the front of house system. And so I went to the guy that was running sound, and I kind of cringe when I think about this now. I think I did it politely. I hope I did, but I mentioned to him that I could only hear it through the monitors, not the mains. And he was thankfully kind enough and gracious enough to listen to what I had to say, not just completely dismiss. But also, he didn't respond rudely or anything with me coming in and suggesting that. And in fact, he had some complimentary things to say about, oh, well, that's good that you noticed that. And actually encouraged me in that moment to pursue audio. And then from there, I also had the opportunity, as a teenager, to work at a local radio station. It was a friend of my dad's that owned the station, and he was needing some real limited part-time help. Was able to go in and work there, and that just kind of continued to spur on what I was interested in with that, and kind of got started with a lot of recording stuff there. We had to do just a little bit of recording, like weather spots, and do a little bit of mixing of some of our buffers on the intros and outros of things. And so just exercising some of those skills at a younger age was a good experience to see if I would enjoy that kind of stuff.
Alrighty. How did Stark Contracts Productions become as popular as it is today?
I've been very blessed in starting that company, and pursuing that, in two ways. I had some friends that were very trusting of me early on, and so I'm very appreciative of their trust, and what we were able to do for them, especially with some school bands, like marching bands, did some of the amplification that they needed for that, and then also some church settings. I was able to go in and do some work, just kind of reconfiguring their system, maybe doing a little bit of training there with their volunteers, and then from that, they were also, the second part of that is that they were giving good recommendations to friends. The conversations would come up. Hey, do y'all know somebody that, and they fill in the blank, that some need that they had, and they were quick to throw my name out there. And so that's been a constant thing of, I've had great people to work with as far as clients, and they in turn have continued to recommend our services to others, and I'm just forever grateful for that. And then through just being interested in kind of business practices, kind of in the marketing realm, but more of just general how to think through things in a business perspective. I was encouraged to pinpoint kind of my key market areas, and I was able to identify that the strengths that I have are with the church world and with especially marching bands. And so in those two realms, just try to help serve clients to especially smaller schools, smaller churches, go and eliminate some of their stresses, their worries, and their problems. Your band directors are very busy with just trying to be a band director, not just an audio engineer. And so if I could help relieve some of the stress from the audio realm, I can help them in their pursuit of being a stronger band director. I can take some of that stress off. And same thing in the church world. Most of the churches that I've dealt with, they don't have anybody on staff that's handling tech. It's usually their worship pastor, music minister that is having to handle that. And so if I can go in and help simplify some of the processes, maybe make the overall experience a little bit better with their team, their volunteer team, if I can train them, and part of my training, I try to bring in the relational aspect of things. And if I can bring that together, I can help the entire experience, their work environment, their worship environment, all of that, just kind of work a little bit better, can serve them in that way. And if I can do that, then that's a win for me. And that's really what gets me excited about doing that work, to help them out in that aspect. And so in doing that, that's just generated this, for lack of better terms, it's just generated this opportunity there to take that same model and apply it to other clients, to help serve them in their situation. And then typically they're satisfied with that outcome, and then they want to share that with their friends that may find themselves in similar situations, because a lot of these tech issues are repeat issues from one school to another and from one church to another. And so I can utilize the experiences that I've had. I can glean from that and apply that to that next step, and that next stop along the road, and help their situation just work a little bit better. And if I can.
Thank you so much for watching this part of the interview. Come to the next episode to catch the second half.